In the last episode of Ringcraft, we discussed the three initiatives: leading, delayed counters, and simultaneous counters. Most fighters have a preference for either leading, fighting on the front foot as the aggressor, or sitting back and looking to counter, and many never really become adept at both. Today I want to discuss a man who has made the transition from counter fighter to fighting almost exclusively on the lead. That divisive Irish superstar, Conor McGregor. The latter stages of his pre-UFC career saw McGregor develop more into an offensive counterpuncher. McGregor would move forward until his opponent lashed out, at which point he would give ground and look to land his left hand. To see a real master of the technique in action, fans should study Jersey Joe Walcott. Walcott was able to drop Joe Louis, the greatest heavyweight boxer of all time, on multiple occasions by drawing Louis in, dropping away from his jab, and beating him to the right hand. In his UFC debut, McGregor looked to counterpunch against the aggressive Marcus Brinich. Struggling to catch the squat brawler with his straights, McGregor went to the uppercut. The uppercut is, as the great Archie Moore put it, the only punch that is a defensive weapon. It is the counter to a crouched posture, and it laid out Brinich perfectly. But holding his hands out and inviting opponents to attack him was only going to work so long for McGregor. In recent years, McGregor has successfully made the shift onto the lead by developing remarkable strike variety. McGregor has always had the basics of a southpaw leading game. He will hand fight with the opponent using his lead right hand to check and smother their lead left hand. Then it's a case of getting his left shoulder inside of their right and throwing the left straight down the centre. He's also always been a fan of the corkscrew lead uppercut, which Prince Naseem Hamed and Marvellous Marvin Hagler used so successfully. This hopping technique takes the southpaw past his opponent's lead foot, putting him on a dominant angle and placing the opponent directly in front of his left straight. The southpaw left straight requires either a slip to the elbow side or a parry across the body. Cro Cop was the master of this pairing. Opponents always came out ready to block the high kick on their forearm, but then he'd sneak a few left straights through and suddenly they'd be reaching to parry. As soon as the right hand came in to parry, Cro Cop would kick through their guard and into their head. McGregor's left high kick pinned the opponent's guard in place, and the faster left straight snuck through inside of it. Another terrific example of a basic southpaw double attack is the one which McGregor used to catch Dustin Poirier. Each time McGregor threw his left straight, Poirier brought his lead elbow up and turned to catch the blow on his forearm. McGregor immediately began aiming long left hooks through the crook of his arm. The great change in McGregor's game, which has allowed him to lead more frequently and successfully, is his adoption of traditional martial arts kicks. Against Max Holloway, McGregor demonstrated something very unusual: Taekwondo switch kicks, sometimes called bicycle kicks. To set these up, McGregor goes to the low line side kick. In the last episode of Ringcraft, we discussed how powerful this weapon is as a lead, and McGregor's performances against Max Holloway and Dennis Siver certainly show that. It might not look like much, but both Siver and Holloway were so put off by the low side kicks that they began throwing them back. This low line side kick is a nice way to stop opponents stepping in, but it also has a similar preliminary motion to the switch kick. McGregor picks up his right leg, but leaps in with the left kick instead. Sometimes to the head, sometimes to the body, but he almost always gets in with his favourite left straight immediately afterwards. An excellent application of kicks to close the distance and box. McGregor will also attempt to knee or kick the head out of these switch kicks, particularly against shorter opponents like Dennis Siver. McGregor has also had success in adopting the turning kicks of karate and taekwondo. These include both back kicks and wheel kicks. These fill a significant hole in the southpaw boxing game, because the traditional method for defusing the southpaw, particularly one as left-hand obsessed as McGregor, is to circle towards his right. Getting past the southpaw's lead foot takes away his entire boxing arsenal except for wide right hooks. With back kicks and wheel kicks, that is no longer the case. He misses plenty, but landing a wheel kick or back kick as the opponent circles out into it can be a fight ender. A final brilliant and understated addition to McGregor's game is the front snap kick. It's the first thing you'll learn on day one of karate or taekwondo, but it is just beginning to catch on in the combat sports world. Where the traditional front kick is a pushing kick, driving into the opponent, the front snap kick is a rising kick which swings up into the midsection or under the chin. The front snap kick was made famous in kickboxing by the great giant Semi Schilt, who used a shifting lead leg snap kick to wind opponents and punish them at range. Katsunori Kikuno also used it to tremendous effect in MMA before he decided to drop his hands and brawl in every fight. Traditionally, the front snap kick is taught with the knee being brought up high, as seen here in this photo from Dynamic Karate in 1966. Most great snap kickers in MMA bring their leg up from the floor and extend it en route. The further McGregor's career has progressed, the more successful he has become with this kick. In his most recent bout against Chad Mendes, McGregor had completely abandoned fighting on the counter and was hit a good deal as a result. But through his use of front snap kicks and back kicks, he was able to wind the powerful wrestler and put him away in the second round. Conor McGregor remains a divisive figure in mixed martial arts, largely due to the pro wrestling angles worked between fights. There are plenty who would paint him as a superhero, and others who would call him a hype job. But, as a fighter, he is a damn thoughtful and talented one. And certainly one from which most of us can learn. I'm Jack Slack, and this is Ringcraft.